David Consulting Nigeria Limited is a leading provider of solutions and has expertise across a number of industries, including human and manpower development, operations and strategy, research and business re-engineering, amongst others. Today, we are presenting logistics and environmental extreme events and COVID-19. And we have experts in the house to lead us in this conversation. We have Mr. Oladimeji Oresoya. We have here Mr. Kenneth Odunshola Stevenson, who will be taking us on the impact of COVID-19 on environment and logistics in Nigeria. I want to make a little introduction of our speakers. Mr. Oladimeji, I can see him. He's joined this conversation. Good morning. Good afternoon, sir. You're welcome to this conversation. And I can see Mr. Tushe. Mr. Tushe, I just want to say that you're going to say one or two things during this conversation concerning your green gas, usage of your green gas with the trucks for logistics. I want to introduce Mr. Oladimeji Oresoya. Mr. Oladimeji Oresoya is the founder and chief executive officer of Global Tech Remedial Nigeria Limited, a waste management design and financing company. Mr. Oladimeji has a bachelor degree in geology from the University of Ibadan and a master's degree in environmental management and ecology from Obafemi Awolowo University, Nigeria. He's also an alumnus of Harvard Kennedy School, Harvard University, Massachusetts, USA. Mr. Oresoya is the former managing director of Lagos Waste Management Authority, a position he held from the year 2005 to 2015, 10 full years. And he left an enviable and unparalleled record. At Lama, he was the team leader and that developed the policy and strategy for improvement in sustainable waste management in Lagos State. He's a member of the design review team of Kili Value Landfill Site, Ontario, Canada. He was also the one charged with the World Bank-sponsored Lagos Landfill Site design and construction. He has extensive ad hoc experience working with numerous international organizations like the UNDP, Clinton Foundation, USEPA, World Bank, etc. He's a thoroughbred professional. At one time, he took up a part-time lecturing job as senior lecturer in waste management and toxicology at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. He is the chairman, Lagos Metropolitan Governance and Development Project, Waste Management Sector Unit. It's a World Bank assisted project. He has over 25 years postgraduate working experience in waste management with extensive specialization in landfill design and operations. He's a member of several scientific academics, including Nigerian Mining and Geoscience Society, Nigerian Environmental Society, Vice Chancellor, Waste Management Society of Nigeria, WAMASIN. He served as the chairman, Technical Working Committee on Medical Waste Management in Lagos, and has received several local and international awards and honorary degrees for his work in sustainable waste and environmental management. His publications include Solid Waste Management and Policy, Ford Foundation Development Initiative Network 2002, an assessment of urban solid waste management practice policy on the Nigerian Environment, George Institute, Dama, 1998. He has over 500 professional papers on waste management issues locally and internationally. Mr. Oresoya is a consultant in many states in the country on environment and waste management, and recently the Lagos State government recalled him to take charge of the Lagos Waste Management Authority as the Chief Executive Officer up until 2019. Well, he's the the MD stroke CEO of his company, Globatech now. And then recently also he was appointed as the Special Advisor on Environment by the Ogun State government. Mr. Oresoya, you are welcome to this webinar this afternoon, and thank you for coming. Taking you out of office today is a privilege. You're welcome. I want to also introduce our speaker, one of our speakers, to Mr. Kenneth Odushola Stevenson. Mr. Kenneth Odushola Stevenson is an award-winning media practitioner and is a strategic thinker, sitting on various companies as president/CEO. Mr. Stevenson is a graduate of Texas Southern University, Houston. He's a multidisciplinary expert in the media communication sector. He is also the founder of Nata Pandemic Consulting, which is the platform we are sitting on today to host this webinar. Nata Pandemic Consulting, I have said earlier on, is an HR services and also ISO certification training firm. Pursuant to his return to Nigeria, he served as special assistant to the Minister of Housing and Urban Development up until 2024. He's a recognized face on the Nigerian television, NT, as a presenter of Inside Business Africa TV magazine program weekly, and has won the Best Business Program Presenter Awards from Nigerian Broadcasting Commission and NTA. He's the publisher of CED Magazine, a journal that is the nexus of information for built environment professionals. He has led teams and facilitated initiatives in collaboration with a wide range of stakeholders on issues of FDI to Africa, FTZ, social entrepreneurship, and health. Mr. Odushola Stevenson is an entrepreneur with interest in real estate, manufacturing, and recently in free trade zone. He's a member of Nigerian Gas Association and FTZ Nigeria, from where he is the Secretary General, amongst others. You're welcome, Mr. Stevenson, to the webinar this afternoon. Once again, I'm welcoming everyone. Like I said earlier on, we are looking at the topic, logistics and environmental extreme events and COVID-19. Like I said, we have experts in the house that will handle this topic for us. Like we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic is considered as the most crucial global health calamity of the century and the greatest challenge that humanity has faced since the Second World War. However, the outbreak has reduced all types of movements by land and air in order to restrict transmission of the virus. I'm just making a little, give me a little introduction to this topic this afternoon before calling on Mr. Oresoya. The ecosystem seems to be recovering from benefiting from this. Emissions of toxins from vehicles that are hardly on the roads, almost zero emission of greenhouse gases to the environment, industrial waste are reduced as they are shut down. In fact, pollution level has been reduced drastically. The pandemic has displayed its contrasting consequences on human civilization, in the sense that on one hand, it has executed worldwide destruction, but created a very positive impact on the world environment on the other hand. Well, some environmentalists made a conclusion that the COVID-19 will produce both positive and negative effects on the environment, but the latter will be greater. And we're going to listen to Mr. Oresoya on how, as an environmentalist, he's managed the outbreak of COVID-19 on the environment so far. You're welcome, Mr. Oresoya.
Thank you very much. And good day to everyone. I hope I'm audible enough, loud enough. All right, so let me just welcome everyone to this event, and all we have to do is to share new ideas and get familiar with the new normal that we call it. It's the new normal now. We have to define how we conduct businesses, We have to redefine how we live our lives. We have to redefine how we determine we have to set new baselines for us to measure progress and growth and development. And I think that is what the pandemic has taught us. And it's like we all have to we all have to put on the reset button as it is right now. So I think, I have to limit myself to the presentation as an environmentalist. Well, talking about environment, I think we may have to look at it from economic angle and from human development angle, and we also have to look at it from preventive healthcare angle. So, for what the pandemic has defined for all of us is to look at our environment from that three main angles. Looking at it in the sustainable development. Sustainable development, you have to look critically at the economic angle. We have to look at the social angle, and we have to look at the health angle. So the new normal as it is right now. COVID-19 came, made all of us unprepared, and business has to be redefined along the line. So basically, in environment family, yes, if you look at it, just like Forrest said, when he was doing the introduction, the typical environmentalist would tell you that yes, we successfully reduce the carbon footprint, and we have a low level of pollution all over the world right now. The pollution level is very low, and that means we've been able to reduce production. All right, the low level of carbon footprint could mean two things. When you have silence in a place that has to be noisy, it can either mean two things. It's either people have gone down, or they are all dead, or there's no more life. So, and I think what we have right now in the carbon footprint reduction is that there is low production all over. Productivity has reduced. Production has reduced. Productivity might not have reduced across all, but production, physical production has reduced. And this is a period, some businesses are growing, the food industry is growing seriously, and the other entertainment industry and tourism industry generally is reducing. So there's a shift from one business angle to the other business angle. For example, the internet service providers, this is a boom period for them. COVID-19 means a boom for the internet service providers and content developers and the rest of them. Food production and people in healthcare service, this is the period of a boom. People in the oil and gas industry, this is a June period for them. Entertainment industry is a June. So there's a kind of new balancing when it comes to productivity and production right now. Productivity has increased in one angle, production has reduced in another angle. Now, environment. What's the consequence of this on the environment? Environment, impact on the environment is outbound of the activities of human activities and natural activities. Now, look at the human activities that we have right now. Yes, human activities are shifted, and the activities that is now more productive are now green activities, internet services. There's less of a pollution when you do your internet service production, especially in Nigeria where you have to burn generators to push the mass and make sure the mass are working. But generally across board, the consumption of petroleum products has reduced. The aviation industry has reduced and almost grounded, and you have less pollution over there. So maybe the act itself is trying to calm us down, because when we say that people climate change, people say it's not possible, and not pollution has been going on our business, but right now nature is calming us down naturally. So internet service providers, you have a lot of green activities that are increasing right now, while you have the brown ones that are actually reducing right now. So for an environmentalist like me, it's a good thing that the carbon footprint with the environment for reduction is right now. You take the air samples all over the world, the Nigerian air samples that we took recently, the carbon in the air and the nitrogen oxide in the air and the sulfur oxide in the air, they've all reduced by more than 400%. 400% reduction in the ozone-depleting gases in the air as we do carefully. Within a very short period, I think that's the local accident, over 400% reduction within the recent time that we took as a sample. So for environmental activists, you are happy there is a natural reduction. But now, when we look at the human growth and human activities, logistics business has almost paralyzed, except in some other areas where you have to do delivery. All right. In areas of trade services, yes, trade services continue, but human movement and the rest of it, logistics business, I'm sure most people in logistics probably will reduce your business to probably about 20-30% of utilization right now. And that's an impact. It has a direct correlation with what you have in the environmental pollution right now. So those are critical index that we're looking at. Now, for other areas of preventive healthcare programs, in preventive healthcare services, we have not reduced services. Waste collection continues, COVID or no COVID. Healthcare waste generated at the isolation center continues. We've actually been working even double. For example, in Ogun State, where I superintend on the services right now. In Ogun State now, waste collection tonnage per day before COVID was at about 1,000 tons per day. During COVID, and we've gone beyond that. All right, I think we have about 25% increase in waste generation during the lockdown, and we have to deploy optimally to make sure that we move this waste more often. People now eat 3 times a day in their houses, and you now start having more refuse. In residential quarters, don't generate waste during the office hours in those days. But during the COVID, we now have a lot of residential waste that are coming out, and we've been picking a lot of waste from residential quarters during the COVID. So it has really increased. Industrial waste has reduced, except for food processing industry. Packaging in food processing industry that has increased. But other luxurious production has reduced. But these are compensated. We now have more waste coming up from domestic from residential quarters, which the figure shows about 25% increase within the last 3 months. At least from Ogun State, where I should say I can give you that figure confidently. We have increase in that. Now, healthcare waste also. Healthcare waste generation has increased. In isolation centers, people now have a lot of healthcare waste generated. We now generate more healthcare waste residential quarters. People used to go to hospitals for their healthcare services before. They now dispose of their waste at the houses right now. The syringes, needles, we start seeing a lot of different kind of pharmaceutical waste that we are not used to seeing as healthcare houses are now coming up in residential quarters. So there's a shift in this regard, and I think that maybe healthcare waste accounted for that 25% increase with high refuse generation at home during this period. So in waste management generally, there's an increase. There's an increase in waste generation during this COVID lockdown, and we expect more because most homes are now turning to offices, and people consume more paper, people consume more food, and the waste bin that used to get filled up. The average home generates about 250 liters of refuse in 1 week. Average home of about 6 people. It generates about 240 liters of refuse in a week. But now, before a week runs out, your drum is filled up because there's more waste coming out from houses, from packaging, from food processing, from clinical waste, from home, clinical waste from home, office waste, and now coming. Everything is now aggregated at home areas right now. We now have retrofitting for many homes right now, and a lot of things is going on, and our waste generation has increased. So on logistics, this is the period. The new number for waste managers right now is to now separate waste cans and household level. All right, and every household right now will start having the healthcare waste can, so that when you have a red can or a red bag, you know it's an hazardous waste. So we now have different people going to home to collect essential waste. We now have people quarantined in homes right now. Isolation is now at home right now. And a lot of drugs are being used at home right now. And a lot of food consumption is going on at home right now. So a lot of healthcare waste is coming up from residential homes. And there's a shift, there's a new arrangement we are making to make sure that we don't mingle this dangerous waste with residential non-hazardous waste. So it's a shift. And for waste management tackles, I think, we may likely look forward to a boom in waste management as maybe not astronomical as you have in other sectors like internet service providers and the rest of them. But generally, we're anticipating a boom from waste management and healthcare waste services from logistic business. So I think that's it. This is a shift of location for us, not a reduction, but a shift of where the waste is generated before is now being shifted back to home, and we have more waste coming up from there. And I think I want to really rest my case here so that I can give other speakers a chance to talk, and we can come up with more questions. So I think I'll just keep less than 15 minutes so that to make it a month. Thank you for it.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Oresoya, for this introduction and insight on the shift that we have now. From what he's just said, he said, well, there's an increase of waste now more than before, because a lot of people are home, and some of this health material we use for health, like probably the face masks, the needles, and all that have increased. A lot of tissues are being used at home now to do one thing or the other because people are in isolation and all that. So we actually have more of the waste now than before. And also, from what he said, is like there are some sectors that the waste production is reduced, and some sectors it is increased. In the health sectors, it's actually increased, but in other sectors like oil and gas, it's reduced because there are no productions, and which is understandable at this time because of the lockdown and all that. Thank you so much. We're going to come back to you, but we're going to give Mr. Kenneth Odushola time to also talk to us on logistics and the effect of COVID-19 on the environment, the logistics and environment and effects. You're welcome, Mr. Kenneth Odushola.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Mrs. Van. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, I can.
Let me say a very big thank you to Mr. Oresoya for actually lending his voice to this conversation, because, for instance, myself, I never thought about this green beans and the red beans, so that people can differentiate between what is a health concern and also what is the usual things. And I think that is very key at this point in time, because most importantly, people are sick at home and they use a lot of tissues, and then the waste disposers come and they pick all sorts of things. So I'm very happy that he's able to point that out. Now, let me just give a background to the research that was done recently by Natafam David Consulting about these pandemic issues. The COVID-19 pandemic, no doubt, has triggered the most severe recession in nearly a century, and it's causing enormous damage to people's health, job, and well-being, and that is for sure. Now, for instance, as restrictions begin to ease, the path to economic recovery remain highly uncertain and vulnerable to a second wave of infection. And I think we are seeing what is currently happening in the United States, if we are actually in touch with the news and all of that. there's been a lot of sparks in so many states: Houston, Texas, Colorado, Michigan, because of certain restriction that has been relaxed. And today we are seeing sparks. Even in Nigeria, today we have over 600 cases that has been reported, just in one single day, and which is the highest in the country. So it's not over yet for COVID-19. However, we are glad that there's an ease of movement. But as of today, it is very important for us to know, which means that as at 30th of June, we had over 10,360,820 infections in over 100 countries. So which means that the thing is not coming down. And because it's not coming down, it's still going to affect how we live, what we do, and how we are going to do it. Yes, the logistic, it was disrupted to a very large extent, but there were movement in terms of goods and services that are actually related to the health of mankind, especially food items, medical supplies, and the rest. But what is important for us to know that strengthening the healthcare system and supporting the people and businesses to adapt to a post-COVID-19 world will be very crucial. It will be very crucial. Nigeria, for instance, has announced that from this July, there will be movement through the airports and the rest. There were lockdowns before. And also the ease of movement across the states that has been announced. So these are going to create some kind of logistic impact. Yes, there was disruption, but what is important is the fact that the logistic companies became very innovative. And companies that are actually doing businesses also became innovative. But what is important also is the fact that while they were becoming very innovative, there were many motorcycles all over the places delivering. We've seen the fact that many OPs of this world, go-karters of this world, they virtually turned to logistic companies and distributing material. So while we were expecting that there will be a lot of less pollution in the air, we have seen that the motorcycles during the lockdown were doing quite a lot of activities and actually contributing to emission. Yes, we agree that there was a lot of reduction. The scientists and Mr. Resoya will be able to give us some statistics, but there was a reduction in terms of air pollution coming from emission from vehicles and the rest of them. But the motorcycles actually added to the issue, and which we cannot really say that yes, the percentage of the reduction. But in terms of the logistics, there was disruption, especially within the Nigerian. I would like to talk about Nigeria. I say Nigeria because in Nigeria, for instance, the understanding of the impact, the importance of some items that were allowed to move was a challenge, either for security officers or that they know they played ignorance. And that actually disrupted the logistic companies in terms of loss of income. More or less that someone who is delivering chicks or rice from the south to the north were not able to do it at the price. What has contributed to the increase in prices of products in the market is because of the things they had to go through along the road. I mean, for instance, you are traveling from there to maybe Edo State. The vehicle that carries some goods, we have to pay toll. What I call toll among the security officials. There were so many lockdowns and so many checkpoints, and at each checkpoint, a logistic company will have to pay, and they will pass this also to the owners of those goods, and which the resulting effect is the fact that we have products, higher prices of products. Rice that used to be maybe about 17,000 is now 20-something thousand, because the securities agencies along the road did not understand their own core values and what they are supposed to contribute to this. They only saw it as a business, and they were making a lot of money while the consumers are paying higher for these products. There was that disruption. Other things that we would like to look at is the fact that in the medical service sector, there was also the same issues. The security agencies will not even now. Let's thank God now. You buy a normal surgical face mask that used to be, for instance, 200 naira, went as far as to 500 naira because of these circumstances. But today, I was buying a surgical mask today, and the person told me, oh, it has come down to 250 naira. I said, thank God. In other words, some people have now realized that, because they have the lockdown, they reduce the price. In terms of logistics, we can see also the fact that most of the oil in the oil industry activities, because there was no lockdown for the oil services sector, because petrol stations were allowed to move. However, the reduction in the price of petroleum products also gave rise to maybe some people also filling their fuel tank. I mean, just ensure that you have enough fuel. Then now today, just yesterday, it was announced that the fuel price at the pump price is 143 naira. And you drive into the petrol station today, you're already buying it for 143 naira. It's very absurd as far as I'm concerned, because you didn't get a new supply between now and today, but you're already increasing the price. But when the price was reduced to 123, it took them a whole 2 weeks before they did the reduction. And there's a missing outing now that they are going to do something about this increase. The logistic companies shouldn't have any business in terms of how you buy your products. It's just to transport. However, because we're facing crisis along the road, they were passing the cost to the owners of goods and services. Hence, you see in prices of products, right? And so that was what was actually, if I'm not an environmentalist, provide incomes and jobs, but also has brought integrate strong climate and biodiversity action and build resilience. Will have been taking note as to some of the environment. The rainy season is here now. Them were always coming around to move them. But we can use this particular period of lockdown and that have been eased now and come up with the data. How many, how many tons of waste is being generated in Lagos State? Bearing in mind the number of trucks that were going to a particular place at a particular time within that period. And then you can start putting the finger into it as to how many trucks you need in the entire Lagos State to move waste products. But I want to believe that the environmentalists, they will know how to do about this. But in terms of the logistic aspect of it, there was the disruption. Companies could not even do whatever they were supposed to do as effective as it should be. But they were able to actually, just do a bit of things, but increase the prices of whatever was moving out. They were moving out from one location to the other. And that affected, and it's not completely down yet, but we believe it will come down. On a tightrope, just like I said, based on the economic review that David did, with the world economy on a tightrope, what can policymakers do to inch forward to recovery? We believe that it is very important that the managers of the economy should look at the logistics sector, because Ccovid 360 was doing quite a lot in terms of helping in terms of medical supplies. The economists or the managers, how do we increase the activities within this sector, because people will still stay at home. People will still remain at home. And then in the process of remaining at home, they want to transact businesses. So which means there will be increase in the use of logistic companies. And the logistic companies also, let me also go to them. They will also need to do a lot of things in terms of pricing, how the cost of their operations. Take, for instance, the first webinar that was held, they talked about green logistics and all of that. There's a company here in Nigeria, Greenville, that is actually turning, that can actually give you a dual, either fuel consumption or gas. Companies in the logistic business, I'm sure many of them are already thinking about how to reduce their cost. And to that extent, are actually looking at the possibility of running this on gas, because the trucks using diesel is quite expensive, whether we like it or not. And they need to come back now and start thinking about the possibility of using gas or converting their vehicles, because it's been said that even if you are going to convert the vehicle to gas, you don't necessarily have to remove the diesel, but you can use the two. But the implications of that, the Greenville operators will be able to explain it. But what is important is that this thing is available, and it can actually reduce the cost of logistic operations for companies that are actually doing a lot. You see, Dangote is moving products every single day. Even during the lockdown, they were moving some products. But what was happening was because the truck owners or the truck drivers were being charged a lot of money, and a lot of things happen. In terms of the, we have a client that was doing a lot of work within the period. Chicken, for instance, is the best protein that we can talk about. It's one of the protein-based food items. But in the process of them moving product from Ibadan to Kaduna, to every part of the country, they lost a lot of money. Why? Because the people on the road could not understand the difference between this. And I think we need to now do an assessment in terms of the logistics and what people move. The police officers and the people on the lockdown on the road needs to now try to understand what are their roles and what are the essential products that they must stop for certain hours and the one they just must allow to go. And we had actually suggested that, look, in the process of all this, you could create a lane for logistic companies and a separate lane on the road for other operators. But because some of these logistic companies are carrying essential products, and you don't want to keep going from going to the market and keep seeing increase in prices of products. So everyone is involved. Everybody has to take a cue from whatever is going on now and actually increase the level of awareness and also be able to learn something from the entire pandemic. COVID-19 health crisis is unfolding into an unprecedented global economic crisis. And that's why I said that earlier on, United States is crying. This morning, they've been talking so much about the fact that the spark is coming and they need to reduce the thing. Even the US President Donald Trump is already stating that, look, okay, there must be something what we must do to reduce this COVID-19. The sudden reduction in economic activities has put severe stress on businesses and employment, requiring swift and strong government action. As we emerge from this crisis, I would like to build back better. I mean, we must assess the impact, look at the possibilities that it has thrown up, and see whatever effort we can make to ensure that we move further. We need to understand that it's very important that we convene an exchange of information among sectors. Convene an exchange of information among sectors in the country, from banking to oil and gas to logistic and all of them. They need to now be able to come up with what impact this had and how we can contribute to moving the economy forward in terms of logistic and the rest. I'm studying that some backsliding on effort to phase out fossil fuel support. Subsisting fossil fuel is an inefficient use of public money and severe to worsen greenhouse emission and air pollution. Our foremost concern today to best the people's planet and us we can live in. This is the planet, and I would like to leave with this message. We need to understand that because this has caused problems in the world. I used to say this to environmentalists. A butterfly flapping its wing in one end of the planet could cause hurricane in another planet. So it's a global pandemic now. Environment should be a global issue, and people should take action, sure that everyone is involved and do what is necessary for all sectors of the world and to every human being. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Stevenson, for that insightful presentation you gave us this afternoon. One of the things I particularly would want us to take home is the fact that we should kind of convey exchange of information among sectors. I think that is very key for us. That is very key for us, so that from every sector we will be able to fight this pandemic and even post-pandemic. It's a kind of a collaboration between all the sectors: logistics, environment, banks, the oil and gas, and all that. And we should also be able to do a kind of assessment. Look at what has happened. Look at what has happened, and then try to look at possibilities and profile solutions to this pandemic. Thank you so much, Mr. Stevenson. I want to ask, I think Mr. Tushia has has left now because I was from Greenville Logistics. I wanted him to say something about the green gas that they produce for trucks for logistics companies. But nevertheless, I want to ask this question. I'm directing it to Mr. Oresoya. In Nigeria today, we have heard from researchers that the virus is strive very well during the cold season. I don't know if Mr. Oresoya is hearing. I'm directing this question to Mr. Oresoya, please. We understand that the virus thrives better during the cold seasons, and we are entering the rainy, or we're already in the rainy season in Nigeria. As an environmentalist, do you think that this season will increase the spread of COVID-19? And if it will, what is it that can be done to avert that?
Well, I can only talk as a preventive health care person and not a curative health care person. So I think a qualified medical doctor should be able to give precisely answer to that. But I'll make an effort based on information available that we pick regularly from the NDC and from the WHO on daily basis. So we try to go by what we hear from the WHO. Yes, the virus thrives more under very cold weather, and yes, we are entering the rainy season, no doubt about it. So we have to be careful. And if we look at antecedents from this part of the world, yes, we always know that during this period of our own rainy season, which is can be synonymous with the winter, so look at cold is severe from like the winter of the west or outside part of the world. What we get from this part of the world, this is the period we have our flu, this is the period we have cold weather, I mean, this is the period we have various form of disease in this part of the world. Talking about Qatar, talking about different kinds of viral infections. This is a period we witness it in this part of the world. So we need to be we need to exercise caution and make sure that yes, just like I've been advised, make sure that we stay more in airy area. We use less of air conditioner, like most of us stay in such a very enclosed area where you only ventilate with air conditioner. So as an environmentalist, I think that we need to get closer to plan to purify the air more for us and get where this thing can blow, where it can be more airy. So it's not the best time to be using air conditioner and put on air conditioner to spray and lower the temperature. So the temperature we should endeavor to increase the body temperature. I mean, no, the environmental temperature right now, wherever we are going to stay. The temperature should be warm and airy. That's basically the advice I can give. Going in line with the advice from the WHO and the NDC group.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Oresoya. I want to say that if anybody has a question, you can just type it out on the chat. They will look at the questions and direct the questions to the appropriate person speaking here. I don't know if anybody has a question, please. Can you just put it on the chat there? Type it out on the chat. We'll get the questions and then we'll attend to the questions. Thank you so much. Hello, Mr. Are you hearing me? I want to call back Mr. Stevenson to please give us a kind of last remark on your presentation. We are running fast on this program because some people have other engagements. So we'll just run fast on it so that they can attend some other engagements they are supposed to attend today. Two of our speakers, Professor Osibajo and Mr. Ahmed Sanda, who will not attend this meeting, but subsequent meetings they will attend because an urgent message came up for them. So I'm calling in Mr. Stevenson. Please give us a parting word from his own side of presentation.
I think I would like to take my word from the issue of an inclusive and green recovery, which is possible. Like I said earlier on, governments have a unique chance at this time for a green and inclusive recovery that must seize a recovery that not only provides economics and incomes and jobs, but also has a broader goal to integrate strong climate and biodiversity actions and build resilience. Why do I say this? Because when you are in lockdown, there was less movement. But I want to believe that while we're also on lockdown, health officials were working, doctors were on the road going to work and all of that. And I also believe that I hope we didn't miss the chance in terms of measuring the level of environmental impact that we've created in the past, by ensuring that also the environmentalists were on the street to try to see what's going on in terms of taking the air. There are facilities, there are things you can use to measure the level of pollution in the air. The equipment are there now. So, and which is why I said we can take advantage of this to know how much of pollution we've been generating in the past and the level that we generated within the lockdown period, and then gauge our activities and to be able to have a very important data to move forward in terms of environment. On the issue of logistics, the pandemic, yes, created a bit of opportunity and disruption, in the sense that those that were even in the food business, like for instance, some of them, those ones that are making fast food, they were able to open at a particular point and then use the logistic companies to deliver. These were some things that they were not doing before. They were able to create new business for themselves. So it created a new opportunity that actually go out. Those things were able to aid some of the activities of the logistic companies. And in the process also, it also gave the rights to some of the organizations that were heavy trucks. So think about how do we use gas to transport heavy duty trucks across the country. And that also was an opportunity that was created. It was not even a doom all day throughout this lockdown period, and waiting the opportunities that has come. What I wanted to just be able to go for us to go away with the fact that while this conversation is continuing, is to let us understand that the COVID-19 came. Yes, it disrupted a lot of things. Yes, the logistic industry were a bit innovative about it. Yes, also the environmentalists, I don't know whether they were able to do something about it. But what has happened now is the fact that when we call it an extreme environmental thing, which means that this cold weather has come, is going to also, I don't know what to do now. What we need to tell the doctors, because when I was attending a webinar this morning, they were saying when you now enter a flight and then they leave the seats in the middle, all right, and the two of you are sitting apart, and if somebody decides to sneeze, which is normal thing anyway, all right, somebody decides to sneeze, what do you do at that point? Okay, because somebody needs to tell us, because at the end of the day, sneezing is part of this weather. At this period, people are going to eat corn, and they are going to eat some things that trigger this kind of sneezing, and also some things about cold. So that's why I said that we needed to be able to say what are the lessons learned during the COVID-19 period that is even still here now, and how do we reset some of the priorities as to what we do going forward. And I believe that the logistic companies were able to do a little bit of innovative things. The cargo section, Nigerian Ports Authority, for instance, was not closed, which means that some cargo were still coming in the country. All right. And also the in-country things were still moving through the motorcycle in different states, and also within the country there was opportunities for logistic company to operate by donating by moving food items from one state to the other. And yes, in terms of other goods and services, what it created innovation. People now know that I can actually work from home. I can do quite a number of things from home, and the opportunity that's created, how do we sustain them going forward without losing the value that created by in-person kind of conversation that we used to have? For me, I believe that I don't want to believe that it's a new, I mean, some of us say new normal, but I would like to say new opportunities that has been created by COVID-19. Malaria has always been with us for a long time, and we never take attention to it like we are doing now. So we need to, look at our health system and see how we can actually boost this part of things and also move forward. It caught us on our way, fine, but here we are. We are treating it. Lagos State is doing very well. Some other states are doing very well. So, but what is important is that this is going to be here for a while, and the logistic companies are already innovating. So also the environmentalists need to also innovate to see how we can take advantage of the opportunity created by this COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this. We like he's always has said, we need to do assessments. We need to do assessments, and there's something else he brought in here. He said we need to have to create inclusive and green recovery that has a broad goal to integrate strong biodiversity. It has come for him. It is not the new normal. It is the new opportunities. Now, for some people, the COVID-19 was a big challenge, and well, look at it. For some, it was an opportunity to be more innovative and creative. So, and even in the logistics sector, they were creative about it. Like he said, some companies turned their motorcycles into logistics operations, and that was what that is also innovative and creative also. So we should not just talk about or think about the COVID-19 as a big challenge, but as an opportunity to be creative and innovative in our operations. Thank you so much. We should also maintain this creativity. It should not just go after the COVID-19, because we don't actually know which other COVID that can come after 2020 or 2021. Another pandemic can also come out. And what do? We need to have the power to stay in whatever we have created or innovated during this period. I say thank you, and I'm still asking for people that have questions. You can type them on the chat, and what we normally do is we send this conversation to people to attend this. So if you need a copy of this conversation, you can also just type your email address on the chat, and then you get a copy of it. Thank you so much. I'm going back.
I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question.
Sir.
I'm not an environmentalist, but I'm glad that Mr. Oresanya is here. And the question is what I mentioned about the research that we did, Natafam David Consulting, which actually suggested it's not a cast in the stone, because our research is based on what data we've been able to collect. And I'd like to go back to that comment I made, and I want him to comment on it, whether it is possible and how do we achieve that. An inclusive green recovery is possible. An inclusive green recovery is possible. And like we said government have a unique chance for a green and inclusive recovery that they must seize at this period. A recovery that not only provides incomes and jobs, but also has broader goals, integrate strong climate and biodiversity action, and build resilience. I'd like him to talk about, he's an environmentalist, a lot of experience, I mean, some of us respect him in this country. I'd like him to talk from that point of view in terms of what we need to do. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for the question. And I think I'll make an attempt to give an answer on that inclusive green recovery. Is it possible? And I think, yes, why not? And I think there's a time for new jobs, new opportunities like this, and for climate action. So naturally, when it comes to climate action, we're talking about mitigation and adaptation measures that we can institute to mitigate impact of production and human development. Fine. That's it. So, from what is going on right now, and from your research, yes, that means there are opportunities coming up. And I can tell you that From my understanding, new opportunities, just like I said during the presentation, that wage generation is increasing right now at household level. Um, I'll give you an example. Basically, you go to a restaurant now, instead of sitting down to eat, you go with a packaged food. Maybe 10 people out of 10 people that visit a typical restaurant, maybe 7 need to sit down to eat there and you watch the plate. But right now, 10 of the 10 must go back to packaged food. So there's more waste generated. So more the restaurants they are giving more food for packaging. So for people in the packaging industry, this is a boom. This is a period to get involved with that. Also, when it comes to delivery of healthcare products, we see a lot of advertisement right now on healthcare products, and most of them have to be delivered through logistic companies at home. So there's a whole lot of movement, just like you say, that the carry go and most of these motorcycle distribution companies, they are ongoing. And I'll give you a typical example. I saw recently an innovation by a group where you register with your car. You are living in Maryland or Victoria Island, and as a product to be delivered at Victoria Island. Rather than to Victoria Island alone, you collect the goods from the seller around Maryland or wherever, and on while you are moving to office, you also do logistics you transfer these goods to Victoria Island. So most people are now trying to earn more income through this innovation. You register your car, register yourself instead of just like the what call this transport. So you now use your car to transport these goods and services. So to me, that is one inclusive area that is going on strong right now. Now we're entering new innovation, new phase of innovation. No doubt about it. We'll press the button, the reset button. So it's about creativity right now. It's about learning new ways of new business strategies and redefining new logistics, new baselines for environmental programs and for environmental business. So basically, people are changing in that area now, and we for environmental activities now business in some areas is growing with reduction in pollution. All right, the internet services is growing without pollution. Now cars are now being used for logistics without using motorcycles. Those motorcycles that are one-stroke engine before, they are now being created. Now you now have electric motorcycles that are now being used for distribution. So if your motorcycle is not an electric motorcycle, you may never get certification in some states. Some states are going to come up with this very soon. And I can tell you Lagos is one of the states that will come up with that. So if you're a logistics business, you're distributing goods, and you don't have electric powered motorcycles, you may not be registered. So this is the one creative way where we can charge, we can have for one stroke engine, most of them can be electric. It's very easy. You can be electric motorcycles and you can distribute goods and services easily. So there are a lot of creative ways to make sure that we do this, and you can accept green funds to be able to do this. Because we want to treat the pollution at a reasonable level right now, so that we don't want to now think because we are now easing out people's movement, then pollution should increase. No. Right now, people need to be more creative, people need to be more innovative about it. I'll just give you that example of electric powered motorcycles that are going to be used even for this. Then more people, because most of us stay at home right now, it's now home office. What you do, moving within your area right now, a lot more people are now going on motorcycle, on bike, on motorcycle. Not motorcycle, bicycle. Bicycle riding is becoming more popular right now because people need to exercise while they commute. All right, people sit at home now. People gain so much weight, and rather than paying money to the gym right now, you now have to spend in riding bicycle within your community or go to work in the community. So rather than people with 3 vehicles who have been polluting before. They are now using just one car, and they are now engaging more. We now engage them more in the use of bicycles. So these are critical ways that government needs to roll up new plans to make sure that city adaptation becoming smart. Okay, cities are now going to get smarter, and that to come to this great way to preserve life. And whatever you're going to do right now, we now see that health implications, health issues become and is at the forefront of whatever you're going to do right now. So when you know that use of bicycles will make you to become more healthy, your lungs become more alive, you are able to inhale more oxygen rather than stay in an air-conditioned car. And most of the infections we'll be having right now are from people in enclosed cars, from drivers to organ, from organ to driver, and the rest of it. You now want to reduce that. Go on bicycle, ride bicycle in your neighborhood. Stop less of locking yourself up in the car. And these are critical ways for adaptation that we'll be talking about. I don't know if I'm able to address your question or your to support that finding on the green recovery possibility. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Resoya. He's asking, yes.
Yes, I think it's
Yes, so it's possible for us to have an inclusive green recovery in Nigeria. From what he said, a lot of people, let me just use the example he gave last, bicycles. Bicycles, they don't emit any carbon or toxic substances. So people can actually use bicycles for exercise, especially as we all stay at home all day, working from home and all that. He talked about the packaging companies that are now experiencing boom now because most restaurants or eateries do not admit people to stay and eat, but people come and buy. And what does it translate? It translates to packaging companies producing a lot of having high production in their package in the packages we use for food and all that. So what he's simply saying is that inclusive green recovery is possible in Nigeria, and there are steps that they are taking to implement that. He's talked about, which is interesting, about the electric powered motorcycles. If that is in place, if your company as a logistics company does not have that, you may not be allowed to operate, which is also an innovation that is welcome. Thank you so much, Mr. Resoya. I don't know if you have a parting word for us while I'm still looking for people that have questions for us. What is your parting word for us? What do we go home with?
Well, before my parting word, I still want Ken to tell me whether I was able to address the question or not. If we satisfied, then I'll move forward. Otherwise, I can still add more. Kenneth.
I didn't get that.
I want Kenneth to confirm whether my answers were adequate.
Okay. Yes, he said so.
Yes, the answer is completely adequate. But what I would expect going forward, you have agreed that green recovery is possible. And I would like to, I'm glad that you are currently with the Ogun State government. That means it's a policy issue. And possibly there's a need to be able to make this an agenda for the nation to start looking at how do we have, because it is being said that it is possible to have a green recovery. In other words, constructed in Nigeria, they don't make facilities for bicycle riding, and which is very unfortunate. So, but in a developed economy, you have such things being done. So, I mean, that's where we believe that it is possible. And because it is possible, let us start implementing it from the small little aspects. You know, somebody we always say that a small little pothole, you know, they start expanding to a very large end. So I'm sure Mr. Resoya knows who made that comment. It was Kende or Shikoya that made that comment to me, and I kept thinking about the fact that it is true. Anytime I'm passing through a pothole, I just see that it's a small little orange, and small little orange size of hole, and before you know it, it's expanding and expanding, and because people don't take care of it very quickly. So what I'm saying is that because we believe it is possible, it means that we can start advocating for such inclusive green development. I think that I'm happy with what you've said, sir.
All right, thank you very much. So to go back to the story and just the passing word. Well, I think first, let me just say here that yes, the good side of the new normal is that for waste management in particular, there's increase in waste management with generation right now, and more people need to get involved with waste management logistics-wise. More people need to invest in that area. As long as there are human beings in this world, there will be waste out there. The waves are just shifted from some area to another area, and they are increasing, all right, in packaging and many other things. So we need to encourage that people need to get more involved in waste management, and you'll be solving a lot of problems for humanity, and most especially healthcare waste. Healthcare is becoming is an issue that is receiving a global attention, and more people need to be careful. So there's waste that is being generated from healthcare services, and that means business. The new business opportunities for our people. And I just want to advise that in our household, yes, if you can do it, that would be nice. But government should come up with policy very soon, and very good to say the policy will come very soon, but other government will come up too. That we start having the red bag as housing. I'll send a note on this to the Federal Ministry of Health, and I'm sure maybe an announcement will be made very soon. That at household level, you must start having some red bag or red can where you put your highly infectious waste. Highly infectious waste are our wombs right now, and if they're not careful, it's a major source of transmission, community transmission of this pandemic. So healthcare issue is becoming a very, very serious issue, and people are now being trained on how to handle this business. So please go online, check for details about this, and the government has serious to do it. I can tell you, Ogun State has started. Ogun State are the forefront right now for healthcare waste collection, and it's given a very, very adequate attention to make sure that we lower the cost through effective community and making sure that healthcare waste services is given the right attention that it deserves. So, by and large, I think people should just break up and get this to the new normal. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's been a successful timeout with Mr. Oresoya.
Yeah, my parting words.
Okay. All right, sir.
Let me just say, because my own conversation was around the supply chain, in other words, logistics. My parting words will come from these particular things. The imperative for a new supply chain model. All right. Supply chain has become highly sophisticated and vital to the competitiveness of many companies. But their underlying global nature also makes them increasingly vulnerable to a range of risk, with more potential points of failures and less margin of error for absorbing delays and disruption. A decade-long focus on supply chain optimization to minimize costs, reduce inventories, and drive up asset utilization has removed buffers and flexibilities to absorb delays and disruption. COVID-19 illustrates how many companies may not fully appreciate their vulnerability to global shocks through their supply chain relationship. Fortunately, new supply chain technologies are emerging that are dramatically improved visibility across the end-to-end supply chain and support much supply chain agility and resiliency without the traditional overhead associated with risk management techniques. The traditional view of linear supply chain and optimizing for our own businesses is transforming into digital supply and network, where functional silos are broken down with our organization and you are connected to fully supply network to enable end-to-end visibility and collaboration, responsiveness, agility, and optimization increasingly. These digital supply networks are being built and designed to acceptable and anticipate disruption and configure themselves appropriately to mitigate the respective aspects of our businesses. The reason is this is because we've talked about logistic companies, migrating to the use of gas. Nigeria is one of the world's largest producer of gas. In other words, the Train 7 has just been signed recently by the Nigeria LNG. So which means, and 2 days ago or 3 days ago, the federal government, the President Muhammadu Buhari, flagged off the Ajaokuta Kano gas pipeline, about 2 point something billion dollars, and someone is going to use this gas. So in other words, we have in abundance gas resources that could actually aid our activities. So companies that are in logistic business should start looking at the issue of use of gas instead of diesel, and that way it will reduce cost of transportation, and it will also reduce, and the rest of them that are moving goods in thousands every week. Logistic business and this disruption has brought about something that we may do newly, and the technology and the imperative of the new model is now here. So we need to take advantage of that. And we will continue to advocate for the new way of doing things and respond to companies' activities within this particular COVID-19, and moving forward to reset and actually do very well as a country. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that parting word. We should go more great. We should large companies that do a whole lot of logistics should think of using the gas instead of the diesel, so that our environment can be preserved better. I want to thank everybody today that attended this conversation, and I want to say a big thank you to Global Tech Remedial Nigeria Limited. They were one of the companies that sponsored and partnered with us in this program. I'm also thanking Wemasin. They also sponsored and partnered with us in this program. And then I'm thanking also Jawura Environmental Services Limited, one of our sponsors also, and Ashawa Consult. These companies, environmental companies, sponsored this program that we have attended today. And one of the MDs of these companies, the Global Tech Remedial Nigeria Limited, Mr. Oresoya,
he's also raising up his hand to speak. He still wants to speak.
Yes, I can see his hand. I'm going to allow him to do that. So he's here with us. Wamasin and Jawura. Wamasin is actually an organization. Is a governmental, non-profit organization. They take care of the waste management issues. And I know Mr. Oresoya is also, I think he's a secretary, he's part of the board members of that organization, the Wamasin. Yes, he is. He's also here with us, at least he's one of our speakers here today. And then Jawura Environmental Services Limited, they also sponsored. Ashawa Consult, also one of our sponsors. Thank you, our sponsors. And Mr. Oresoya wanted to say something. He raised his hand up. I don't know if he wanted to say something. Okay, he was just thanking us for this, putting up this program. And I want to assure everybody that this conversation is continuous. It's not one-off. The next time we are going to have this conversation, we're going to have more of our speakers attend to this meeting today. And I didn't see anybody asking questions, so I assume that the lessons were well received, and we'll go back home to implement some of these things. Government should implement some policies that will sustain what we have discussed here, a few of the things that we've discussed. So it's great today, and I say thank you, everyone. I appreciate your coming here. Nasap and David Consulting, Century 21 Systems, also one of our sponsors. The CED is also one of our sponsors. Thank you so much, sponsors. Thank you, participants. Thank you, our speakers. Do have a good day.